Hey guys, it's Jack again. Wow, hold on. Sorry for the interruption. In one of my earlier videos, I talked about Metroid Other M. Now, my opinions of the game have certainly changed for the better. I don't know if I should say, but I'm here to talk more into detail about why this game does not suck. I know I went over some clear facts about it last time, but I'm going to name off some things, like, some legitimate complaints that people have with the game, and, try to explain a logical explanation for those. So some things I'm not a fan of, but most things, shut up. A lot of things, there are some things that still bother me about the game. I still enjoy it to death. I love it. I've been playing the game to death. Okay, I think the number one complaint is Samus is too talky, there's too much blah blah blah, she's whiny. She talks way too much. Well, or she's too emotional, that sort of thing. Well, here's the thing, Samus is a human being. Yeah. She was infused with Chozo DNA and DNA from the Metroid infant, but she's still human. Humans have emotions. This is me being annoyed. You know what I mean here? She's not too whiny. Yeah. I just don't get why so many people complain about this game. It's not that bad. It's not the best, but it's certainly not that bad. Another complaint, I know I might have not really explained logical reasons of why Samus talks too much or she's too emotional, because, like I said, she is human, and for those of you who are actually fans of the series and have played Super Metroid, I know this game is not supposed to try and top Super Metroid. Super Metroid is easily still the best Metroid game in terms of the series. But this game was supposed to just fill in the gaps of what happened in between Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion, because there's still some things that were left out, like what happened to Ridley and everything, how he became a frozen husk and all that. This game answers all those questions. Not to mention, she's still grieving. She's technically a grieving mother because she lost the infant Metroid, because it sacrificed itself to save Samus's life at the cost of its own against Mother Brain, though it gave her the hyper beam, which Samus used to pretty much annihilate Mother Brain. Another complaint is Samus has all of her upgrades, but she can't use them until Adam authorizes it. That actually makes perfect sense. I mean, it would not make sense for Samus to use all this high, damaging weaponry on an unstable ship like the bottle ship, because it makes sense, because I know Adam would never authorize the use of power bombs just because of how powerful and dangerous they are, saying that they can vaporize humans instantly, and they can possibly blow a hole in the ship. So he was not going to take that risk. He was doing the smart thing. Yeah, and not to mention she actually had to follow into the chain of command, because she offered her help. Adam accepts, but on the condition that she follows his orders and pretty much does whatever he says. There are some things that he authorizes little too late, like the Various suit. People were probably expecting him to authorize the Various suit as soon as Samus sets into the more extremely hot sections of Sector 3, which is fire and lava and Bernie stuff. But no, he doesn't authorize the various suit until you're actually fighting one of the bosses, Moyadma, I think that's what his name is. That's when he authorizes the various suit, which protects from heat damage and, of course, provides a defense bonus. And the gravity suit. Actually, no, I should call it the gravity effect because it's not a suit. That I have a big annoyance with there. Really, just a purple glow. Really, you couldn't color the suit purple like you did in Super Metroid and Metroid Fusion. Even though Metroid Fusion was a 2D game, as was Super Metroid. Why couldn't you give us a proper gravity suit? That would have been nice. I've seen actual pictures of people who've actually done recolorings of a good gravity suit, of how basically it looks like the gravity suit from the Metroid Prime games. That would look really nice, but unfortunately we didn't get it. And probably the biggest complaint of all is the sight of Samus freezing, Samus freezing up at the sight of Ridley. Even though Ridley Samus has killed Ridley so many times, she still locks up at the sight of him. Let me put this into perspective. Ridley has only died one time, and that was at the end of Super Metroid when Planet Zebes exploded. Not to mention Samus killed the recovery team that was sent in to recover him to bring him back, but since there's no one left, no one survived that explosion. There was just no way. So yeah, Ridley did actually die. Every other time Ridley was beaten by Samus, the recovery team was sent in, and they bring him back, and they resuscitate him through various means. Now, I know not a lot of people know this, but Ridley can actually heal his wounds by eating flesh. And for those of you with more of Samus's background, there is a 2-volume manga somewhere around the internet where you can read, and you can basically learn everything about Samus's backstory. Basically everything about her meeting the Chozo, her training with the Chozo, her joining the Galactic Federation, all that. That's also where Adams comes from, because not many people know who Adam is. Well, Adam is a general in the Federation Army. And, well, here's the thing. He's the closest thing a father Samus has. Well, he's the closest thing to a father Samus has. And Adam's sacrifice, I don't mean to spoil anything to those who haven't played the game. Adam's sacrifice was basically how we got Adam's mind implemented into Samus's computer in Fusion. Now, for those of you wondering what happened to Ridley, well, after Ridley is actually beaten in Other M, he flees the scene to try and go and heal his wounds. But of course, unfortunately, he ends up being attacked by the Metroid Queen and basically drained all his life energy and turned into a husk. That's basically where the frozen husk comes from in Fusion, because of the Metroid Queen. And for the actual final boss, I was actually a little surprised that Phantoon made a return, as did Nightmare. Nightmare from Fusion. You mean, anyone remember him? The one who controls gravity? People consider Nightmare to be the hardest boss in Fusion, which is understandable because of his irregular patterns of moving around. So you'd have to probably just jump around all over, try to avoid him. Phantoon is enormous. Yeah, Phantoon really got big in this game, and it shows. Though, of course, that's only for the second part of the game, after Samus helped bring down MB. Now, for people who don't like the story, really, the story doesn't make the game. It's the gameplay. Especially, G4 has no idea of just... That could not be any worse of a review I have ever seen. They completely ignored the gameplay until like the very end of the review, when they barely touched upon it. They basically innovated 3D into a 2D environment. Actually, it's a mix of the two, which is really cool. Not to mention the screw attack comes back, and as does every other upgrade that Samus gets from Super Metroid. Like grapple beam, speed booster, everything. Not to mention the shine spark is actually made a lot easier to do. I know a lot of people don't like the kick climb, which is basically a very, very easy way of wall jumping, which was made for sequence breaking in both Metroid Zero Mission and Super Metroid. I know a lot of sequence breakers didn't like the linear. The game is pretty linear in terms of progression. I mean, you don't really get to explore much, but whenever you're in a sector, you do get to go about and explore it at your will. I mean, it's up to you about how you get to your destination. But certain doors require certain power-ups to open. Like I think I've only seen one so far that requires the speed booster. But you have to wait until you get the gravity suit, or else Samus will move very, very slowly underwater. Most require either the super missile or the power bombs. The power bombs really aren't accessible until the fight with the Metroid Queen. And a lot of people are annoyed that you're not told to use the power bombs. Which can probably lead to confusion. But then again, by that point, the power bombs are the only upgrade that Samus has not, been authorized to use. But then, by the time you fight the Metroid Queen, Samus is basically authorized her own weapons herself. I also like how they innovated some of the Metroid Prime gameplay into Other M. Granted, you can't move around much while in first-person mode by pointing the Wii remote, vertically at the screen, and you can lock on and fire missiles with your beam or whatever. I still find that to be really cool. Granted, the super missile still takes 5 missiles per shot, which is, understandable. And I think another small complaint is that you don't get a lot of missiles. You only get 1 missile per expansion, whereas you got 5 or so much in other games. Well, here's the reason. Because of concentration, you can recharge your missiles. And, you can recharge your missiles and up to, I think, 3 full energy tanks if you take the time to get the E-recovery tanks, which basically increase the amount of health you recover from concentration. You basically, at first you start off with just 1 energy tank, and you get 1, then 2, then 3, but some require certain upgrades and weapons and such to actually get. Excel charges are also a new feature, which basically increase the speed of how fast you charge. Your charge beam starts off fairly slow, but the more Excel charges you get, the much faster your charge beam will fill up, and the faster you can actually, fire charge shots. I still like this game. I mean, there are some things that irk me, like, some authorization issues and everything, but I still enjoy it. I mean, I'm playing a second file right now. That's how much I love it. I mean, I'm a hardcore fan of the series, and I didn't think it was that bad of a game. I've played just about a majority of the Metroid games in the series. I'm hoping the next game, whenever the next Metroid game comes out, is actually a sequel to Fusion, because really, Fusion really needs a sequel. There's really no other direction that the series can go. It has to go forward. There's no going back anymore. Other M did a pretty decent job of filling in the gaps of Super Metroid and Fusion. But now, it's high time we did a sequel to Fusion. And hoping it comes sometime soon. This is Jack, signing out. Take care. See you guys later.